All right. Is the muttering time before I realize the mic's on, you know, so. Okay. We have someone from the mayor's office, Councilman Rocha, could you please come up front? There we go. That's it. Good afternoon. What beautiful weather we have. You know, what's neat is that this is the second time that we've had our ceremonies here in the 14 years. The first one was in here when we dedicated the memorial. It was just a Vietnam Veterans Memorial at that particular point. And it was a wonderful event. And now we are back, and we got a very iconic speaker. So happy that he's here. He's tough to get a hold of, you know. He doesn't like to answer. He doesn't like to, but we'll take good care of you. Yeah. All righty. Please, let's see. I'd like to please stand for the presentation of the national colors. Now I invite Lori Christensen to sing the national anthem. She is.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Whoa. Thank you. Now you know why she's our vocalist for life. She sings in honor of her late father, who was a World War II veteran. I'd like to have a child from the audience come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Diane Hall. All right.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I'd like to ask our chaplain to come up for the invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, great creator of this universe, giver of everlasting life, we come forward to you this day in remembrance of those days past, which we call the Vietnam era. We ask you, Lord, to bless each and every one of us. Help us in our day-to-day living. Help us to know that what we did over there was for the betterment of life here. We thank you for our guest speaker of the day and for all of those who contribute in any way, shape, or form to a magnificent service. We ask you now, O Lord, to continue to anoint those who serve here and abroad. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the retirement of the colors for the Smyrna High School Junior ROTC. First time with us. Give them a round of applause. Please be seated. Wow, I don't know if we had any military recruiters here, but they've probably got applications there for these folks here. Fantastic job. We like to alternate between, again, this is their first time, Smyrna High School, Dover High School, Caesar Rodney High School, and First State Military Academy. They all have wonderful color guards. I want to acknowledge, we're talking about being in here, a man who was with us 14 years ago when we did our first thing inside here. He's seated on the wall to my left. He is the Wizard of Oz, called Mark Kennedy. And I want to thank him. He works for the county. He's responsible for setting this up with a wonderful venue for us today, including the arrangement of the furniture up front, our sound, our video slides. He said, send me some slides and we'll just have them rotating through. He is good at what he does. They should give you a raise. And I would like to also welcome our new county administrator, Ken, oh my gosh, he's back there. Ken Decker, oh my gosh, really tough names. In fact, Paul and I had breakfast with him. He's only been on the job for less than a month, and we had breakfast with him at IHOP earlier this week, and he said, anything you folks need, let me know. We've had a wonderful relationship with the county. In fact, I invited our county executives from Levycourt if they want to sit back there as they did on the first anniversary, the first time we were here, because I want to say they're sitting there behind us because they've always been behind us the whole time, and that continues. So I want to thank them as well. I'd like now to introduce, in lieu of Mayor Robin Christensen, who is representing Robin Christensen, who's, in fact, he's only ever, I think, not been here, so I hope he's okay. Gerald Rocha. Give greetings from the city of Dover.
Thank you. Thank you. And greetings, my fellow veterans and all guests. It is an honor to share this moment in time with each and every one of you on this special day to remember the courage and sacrifices made of our Vietnam veterans. On behalf of our mayor and my colleagues on the city council for the city of Dover, we join you to recognize March 29th as National Vietnam War Veterans Day to commemorate the final group of U.S. combat troops to leave Vietnam 50 years ago. On this day also, we honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom of our country and pray eternal peace for the more than 58,000 members who perished for this freedom. And we also pray for the comfort of their families as well. Thank you and Godspeed.
Thank you so much, Councilman. I see the mayor has competition for straightforward points. All right. And he did. Great. And again, welcome as particularly as a fellow veteran. I'd like now to ask our president, Joe Start. He's been a president right from the beginning, to build this memorial out here and give a greeting.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be sweet. Short and sweet, I mean. I want to thank everybody here that took time out today to honor our veterans, and also we have a special presentation for the cash program. We'd like for you to stay. If you want to join us then, General Reynolds and Miss Reynolds, she's here. But anyway, I can go ahead on and ramble on, but you don't want to hear me ramble. So I just want to say thanks for everybody that helped get this together, Paul, Dave, and special thanks for the gentleman here. What's that? Mark Kennedy. We've already talked about Mark Kennedy. Where have you been? Hello? Mark, we love you. I've told you 5 times, thank you. Jan, thank you so much for taking time out for being here for us. You mean a lot to us. And God bless you and everything that you've done for us. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Joe. Now we'd like to hear from the state VVA president,
Jump in there, Paul.
Paul Davis.
Well, thank you very much. Today is a big day for the Vietnam veterans of Delaware to have such a distinguished person that has been supportive and representative of the Vietnam veterans that was in the country, that created the Vietnam Wall in Washington, D.C. Jan Scruggs, I want to say to you, God bless you for the hard work and the dedication that we leave a legacy in the United States of America, that the Vietnam vets fought for freedom, legacies that kids in the future will always remember. And it's important that we remember those who gave their life for the freedoms that we have in this country. And God bless every veteran, whether it's World War II, Korean, the Mideast, or whatever. I just can't thank you enough to be with you today, because there's so many people that visit that wall. And I recall when it all started, when you started sending out letters, getting donations, and you got the mission done. I think you're in the United States Army, and I think that's why you got it done, okay? All right. All right. Didn't mean to offend any of the Marines here, but we get it done too. Okay. Having said that, I want to welcome each and every one of you here today. You've been supportive from day one. We started the memorial outside in the Huey. And I particularly want to thank the Kent County Levy Court that we first approached about donating a piece of land. And I would like the county commissioners just to stand up for a second to be recognized. They made this happen. Would you please rise? Joanne, Allen. Mike Pettimage, who just retired, was a tremendous help, plus all the commissioners. And today, I'm honored to have the new county administrator, Ken Decker, that we met with. He is a veteran, and I think he's with us 100%. And thank you so much, Ken. Having said that, I do want to recognize those that I put down that's here. If I've missed anybody, just raise your hand and I'll try to see you, number one, and recognize you. Okay, from the Dover City, we've already met the councilman that's representing the mayor, and thank you, sir, for being here, and thank you for the city of Dover's help. Between the county and the city, we was able to get this done, and thank you so much for that. State representatives, representing State Representative Bill Carson Day is Representative Bill Bush. Just stand up, Bill. Bill Bush is out there every day working to help veterans, particularly on the exempt thing, along with Senator Dave Lawson's with us today. Dave, stand up, please. Dave is a Vietnam combat vet and is a big supporter of the Vietnam Veterans of America. Then we have our newly elected senator from Smyrna, Senator Hoffner. Where are you at? There we go. Thank you, Senator, because we've had talks with you, and I know you support us 100%. From the county, you've already recognized Ken Decker. Kenny, in the back, raise your hand. That's the new county administrator. And we've recognized and led the court Joanne Masson and Alan Angel. And on the military side, representing our Delaware National Guard that we're very, very proud of, is Brigadier General Holcomb. Thank you, sir. We're very, very proud of the Delaware National Guard. We became very close with General Frank Valva. Frank, where are you at? Thank you. That's the Godfather right there. He's a great guy. He's a good friend. And we have with us retired Brigadier General Terry Wiley. Thank you, sir. Okay. Down to the commissioners, we have Paul Lorenzoni. Where you at, Paul? Right here, representing the Veterans Commission. I don't see any others here, Paul, unless I've missed them. Are there any other commissioners here? All right, just move on then. And also, I want to recognize as our guest, very honored to have her. I'm sorry, Danny, he's one of our members. Danny Watson, commissioner. Representing the Vietnam Vets of America. Thank you, Danny. And somewhere I'm seeing her, but I understand that Mrs. Reynolds is here. Raise your hand, Emily. Right here. Nice to see you. All right. Mrs. Reynolds' late husband, Brigadier General John Reynolds, was a member of our chapter, and he passed away. And today, later in the program, you're going to hear about the presentation of a dog, but that's in his honor. So Emily, it's so nice to have you here with us today. You are part of our family. Let's give her another hand. I hope I haven't missed anybody. Have I missed anybody of any important? Oh, Dave. Yes. Dave Anderson, City Council Dover. I'm sorry, Dave. And yeah, I mentioned Alan Angel. Julia Pillsbury. Who? Dr. Pillsbury. Oh, Dr. Pillsbury. I'm sorry. Yes, nice to see you, County. All right. That's my little chit chat. Thank you once again for being here. God bless those families that have lost loved ones in Vietnam. In closing, I just want to say you are part of our family. The families are with us now, and we will always remember any veteran who gives his life for this great country. Thank you.
Paul has a difficult, sometimes awkward job of circling the names of people that are going to be here, and sometimes people come, we have no idea that they're going to be here, but we certainly appreciate and respect everyone, all of our leaders that are here, all of our veterans, all of their families, and we do appreciate that. One of our chapter members, late chapter member, is Woody Postal. That's his picture up there. He was a charter member of our chapter and played a key role in our ongoing activities and outreach. We lost him this past November. Next month's dinner at the Felton Fire Hall has been named in his honor. His wife Gail and his family are here with us today. Gail, please stand. So we'll have a presentation for you later. Gail Postal. I'll ask her to come up later, and I know she's okay. All right. Now it's time to introduce our keynote speaker. He let me know that he was coming up in his friend's brand new Corvette, so you made it okay. We saved him a parking spot out there. Jan C. Scruggs is the founder of The Wall. Look at Isaiah 6:8. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? Who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I, send me." This verse has always resonated with me because it offers a truly beautiful response to a call to service that every veteran and his or her family understands. Jan Scruggs did what few thought were possible. He created an iconic wall in our nation's capital to assuage the frustration, anger, and lack of recognition of more than 58,000 families who had lost a member in that war that became increasingly unpopular as it ground on and on. The men and women who faithfully served at the cost of their physical and psychological lives were not only ignored, but in some cases actually blamed for the war. In 1969, John was seriously wounded when half of his infantry unit was killed. 9 years later, after witnessing the suffering of his fellow veterans, he and fellow veterans Jack Wheeler and Bob Dubeck established the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund to raise the millions of dollars that would be needed for a monument. Some Americans and organizations like the VFW and the Gold Star Mothers supported the idea to honor those who had sacrificed their lives. Others who had actively opposed the war criticized the idea, claiming it was unheroic, unpatriotic, below ground, and death-oriented. It was a long, heartfelt, and exhausting campaign our guests may choose to discuss, but months later, after hundreds of volunteers took up the cause, the VVMF gathered more than $8 million for more than 650,000 private donors. Didn't need the government to come in and build anything. We did it ourselves. That's what veterans do. In 1981, the design was put out for bid. Of some 450 entries, Maya Lin, a young Chinese-American art student's design, was chosen. It was a long V-shaped wall of polished black granite that would be engraved with the names of American killed or missing in action in Vietnam. Much of the reaction by the design of the VFW and Gold Star Mothers was positive, but some veterans and others felt it wasn't patriotic enough. But Jay and his volunteers continued working with them to arrive at a compromise that allowed the project to move ahead. Construction of the memorial finally began in March 1982. 7 months later, it was ready to be presented to the American public. The monument is one of the most revered in the nation, with some 5 million visitors annually stopping by to absorb the reality of the service and sacrifice it represents. Those who've been there know it's like walking into a church. People are quiet. They don't say anything. Some will rub the names. Other ones will put little mementos down there, which are picked up every day. It's a very, very sobering effect that not only applies to Vietnam veterans, but to all the veterans that follow. His example put us in a situation where we built our own memorial here in Kay County, and did just like the other two counties have. And veterans across the nation said, we got to do this too. So that not only helps Vietnam veterans be recognized, but every veteran organization system, every generation of veterans. With that, I'd like to introduce Jan C. Scruggs, founder of The Wall.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's very nice to get a standing ovation because it's so unusual that I get one after the speech. So if I get one before the speech, I'm breaking even. Anyway, you've heard of me, many of you. I'm the guy who started the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Had the idea for a memorial that would have the names of all the casualties on it and would be dedicated to all who served in the Vietnam War. So there are a lot of misunderstandings about it, as there are misunderstandings about the entire Vietnam War. I mean, do you know there was a guy who sent ships to Vietnam in 1790 because he thought the rice that was planted in Vietnam would work very nicely in South Carolina and Louisiana? His name was Thomas Jefferson. So, little fact, if you're bored, you grab your Google and read all about it. Didn't work out well, but a nation was growing. And our nation in 1968 was really at war with itself. I mean, and Americans, like those of us here and who ended up, we were drafted or we went there voluntarily, we just did our duty for the land of the free. Congress and Presidents Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Gerald Ford, none of these guys were able to end the war or figure out how to get victory. The same has been true for others who've been in Vietnam. One was Kublai Khan, and he was the son of, or related to Genghis Khan, but basically he was a brilliant military guy, and he attempted to take over Vietnam by land invasion, and the Vietnamese parlayed. They got big buckets of mud, and his cavalry got stuck. Then he invaded by sea, and they pulled him in, and were able to sink most of his ships. So it didn't work out very well for him. But in 1863, we had the American Civil War going on, and during that time, a European country had something called the Treaty of Saigon, and that gave to France what is now Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. It was called Cochin China. So it became a colony of France. And it did not turn out well. In 1954, the French left after their army was defeated at Dien Bien Phu. So you got to be careful when you decide to screw around with the Vietnamese. I get very much involved years after the Vietnam War. I got some money from the State Department. I was removing landmines and unexploded ordnance from Vietnam, from the Quang Tri province, and we removed thousands and thousands of items and kept people safe there. Made a lot of friends. So, Vietnam was really this sort of great American tragedy of the 20th century. It looked as though we would be able to defeat this little army, and it would be easy and consistent with the containment. Remember containment. Harry Truman said, we have to contain communism. And that's why one of the reasons that we ended up in Vietnam and other places. We needed to stop them from taking the world over. And we had successes and failures, but one failure was Vietnam. But there were 3 million of us who served there. 58,000 did die, unfortunately. Wounded. How many people in here were wounded in the Vietnam War? I'm just curious. Well, you see? Yeah. And we have one person in the audience who actually lost a son in Vietnam, and Ann Walcott. Put your hand up there. Very gracious. Her son was named Rex, and I believe he was killed in action in 1968. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Good. So, a lot of tragedies come out of wars, and Vietnam was, for the infantry, very close combat. I mean, World War II, they had large artillery pieces. Both sides had armor. This was really, the Vietnamese had one weapon, pretty smart soldiers, a nice rifle, and good strategy and tactics. And they just kind of hung in there year after year. And when it was all over, the enemy and the South Vietnamese losses were probably about 3 million people. That's a lot of people. And, God bless them all. We have many Vietnamese refugees in America. They've done great things. They're just great people. And it's a pleasure to have them as citizens in our great country. I do a lot of work as a yellow hatter, as a volunteer on the mall in Washington, and invite people to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. And they're really very much amazed by it. People from all over the world come to see this memorial because it is a great work of architecture. I mean, when you go to France, you've got to go see the Eiffel Tower, you know. You go to Egypt, you got to go see the pyramids. You go to Washington, D.C., you have to see the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Internationally, it has a great grip on people. It has a great grip on people individually who maybe knew somebody or a relative who lost their life in Vietnam, or a friend who lost their life in Vietnam. And it's very dramatic. One of the most dramatic things is probably 500,000 or more items have been left at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. I mean, there's no sociological or anthropological explanation for this. It's just sort of, people just started doing it. The memorial was ready to be shown to the public in 1982, and we had some fences around it, and I went out there one morning before it was open to the public, and here's a pair of cowboy boots, old cowboy boots, sitting there, and they were obviously belonged to one of the casualties from the Vietnam War. So people kept leaving all these things. So how did I do this? Look, I was when I was 18, out of high school. My parents weren't getting along very well. Well, they were getting divorced, and nothing was going right in my life. The idea of going to college was something that the guys on the other side of the tracks did, not guys like me. Guys like me became truck drivers or something, or cops or firemen. And but I volunteered for the Vietnam War, and I was trained as a rifleman with the 199th Light Infantry Brigade, and I wasn't really ready psychologically for some of the things that I saw. Back May 27th, 1969, we were on a patrol, and the guy who was a very respected squad leader, took the entire force of an enemy Claymore mine, cut him in half, and all of a sudden I'm looking at this guy laying there. I'm saying, what happened here? And he says, we got to get this body out of here. I said, okay, I'll carry it. And everybody started laughing. I said, don't you know it takes 6 people to carry a dead body? And it really does, because when they get into the bag, they start sinking in the middle. And I said, oh, well, I guess I learned something today. Certainly a day I'll never forget. And the next day, we were rescued by some tanks, and I figured, you know what? Everyone's getting shot around me, which means it's my turn now. So I took an army poncho that I had, and I took a pistol belt, put it behind me, and I figured this would stop the shrapnel that would go up my back and maybe split my spine. And guess what happened? The next day, I got hit with an RPG round. There were 3 RPG rounds fired, and the shrapnel from my army poncho stopped most of the shrapnel from probably severing my spine. So sometimes we're sort of prescient. So coming back from Vietnam, I was psychologically a little bit of a mess, and I had motorcycles, and I was doing a lot of things I shouldn't have been doing, but somehow I never got myself caught. So, but I couldn't get over the deaths, being able to look at these deaths, and so I decided, look, I've got to do something. I'm going to become an expert on trauma, psychological trauma and death. It's been studied a lot. among the survivors of Hiroshima and the concentration camps, et cetera, et cetera. People have studied it. So I put together some research, and I testified in front of the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives, as well as wrote an article for the Washington Post, military. So all of a sudden, I'm an expert on the Vietnam War. And I'm still bothered. January 1970, 12 people, I mean, these are all friends of mine. We were all fired 81 millimeter mortars, and they were blown up. They were unloading a truck, and one of the safeties on the mortar rounds was left in overnight, negligently apparently, and they just blew up. And I got there, I was the first guy there, and there were 12 of them. And their bodies were on fire, they had arms, legs missing. I mean, this is very serious stuff. I just couldn't get over it. So I decided, my wife and I went to see a movie called The Deer Hunter one night, Robert De Niro. And you know what? I said to her the next morning, I'm going to build a Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. And it's going to have all the names on it. I've got the whole thing figured out. And she said, you're insane. This is not even possible. We're at GS7. You don't even know the name of your congressman or senator, and you're going to walk around there and get authorization and raise millions of dollars. She says, I don't think so. But I went to see my boss at Department of Labor at GS7. I said, look, I need a couple days. I need a day off because I have this idea. I want to build this memorial in Washington. He says, you need a week off because that is freaking... You were insane. But you know what? They were right. I had no idea what I was doing, but I figured out how to do it. You need a good team in life. In life, if you're in the Air Force or the Army or working in a hospital, you need a team. You can't do it all yourself. So I got 5 guys who went to West Point and then went to the Harvard Business School. They take the top cadets at West Point and send them to Harvard. And because the Army is like a big corporation, you got 1,000 moving parts. And one of them is John P. Wheeler, who actually was a victim of homicide in Delaware. Yeah. They never found out who killed him. He was found in a dumpster with his wallet and his West Point ring on his hand. But he was a very brilliant fellow. They were all brilliant fellows, so they said, look, why don't we just pretend this is a Harvard Business School problem. This is our final exam. How do we do this? Okay, what do we need? We need land. We need a design. We need money. We need a plan for dedication. And this would be a place that will help heal the wounds of America's time in Vietnam. And testified in front of the Senate, House, got the legislation through. And then we had a design competition. This was the largest design competition held in the history of Western civilization. That's a lot of people. And does anyone know the name of the woman who won this design competition? Maya Ying-lin, yes. She's from Athens, Ohio. And people ask me all the time, isn't it true that she's a Vietnamese? I said, no, she's not Vietnamese. But she comes from a very famous Chinese family that came here to get away from the communists. And both of her parents were professors of English at the University of Ohio. So fascinating person. And but all of a sudden, we're raising the money. We're getting everything we need from famous people. Everything's ready to go. Except we had a major problem. This became a major controversy, a major national controversy. Maya Lin's ethnicity was attacked by some people because she was Asian American. A lot of very rough stuff was happening behind the scenes. We had some very well-financed opponents, but we figured out how to beat them. We made a compromise. We will add a statue to the design of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. I hope everyone's happy with that because That's as far as I can go with this. This is someone else's design. She was not happy with it, but she got over it, and we couldn't compromise any further than that. So courage is very important. You know, we all need to show courage in our lives. Not all of us have to ever face the kind of courage that combat veterans have to face, carrying friends and through jungles and picking their bodies up when they get wounded. You don't have that kind of courage. But here's a courage that you could think about. It's from a guy named Charles Moran Wilson. Courage is a moral quality. It is not a chance gift of nature like an aptitude for games. It is a cold, hard choice between two alternatives. It is the fixed resolve not to quit, which must be made not once, but many times by the power of the will. And these are the words of Charles Moran Wilson, who was a British surgeon during World War I. So that is ends my brilliant lecture today. And again, thank you for the applause in advance of the lecture. And if anyone has a few questions, I'm happy to entertain them. Oh, wow. I need a picture of this. This must be magic.
Yeah, it must be magic.
We have a couple of presentations for you, sir.
Thanks. Yeah, great.
Thanks, Jim.
Good work. Thanks.
Okay. This is the Vietnam mail book. We want to present this to you. And
Yeah.
This is a woman, I don't know if you're familiar with Nancy Lynch, but she was a journalist up in Wilmington during the war. And
Yeah.
people would write letters to her.
Good.
And she would publish them.
Beautiful.
And all the members of our chapter signed this, and we want to present it to you with our gratitude. We also have a presentation for our state legislature. First one is Senator Dave Wilson from the, oh my God.
Are we in trouble again?
I was with Senator Wilson. I was with Senator Wilson 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. And thank you so much.
Oh, thanks.
So great to meet you.
Great to be here.
Welcome home.
Yeah, real pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I've got I had a tribute under there.
Okay, there it is. Okay.
I'll have to get my glasses out now. First of all, if I may take a few moments, thank you all for being here. W, I see you back there. Yeah. This is an honor. Yeah. Few times do you get to recognize the people that gave so much. Those that gave it all didn't come home. Those that came home, give everything. It's what's made this country so great. So thank you. Sorry about that. I knew that would happen. I knew it was going to happen today. The emotions are running high. But it is so good to see you all here and to see so many friends and people that really care about this country in light of what we're seeing in the news media. The news media lies. We don't. Thank you all. I will go on with the presentation and get off my soapbox. From the Senate of the Delaware State, it says here it be known to all, the Senate of the 152nd General Assembly joins David Lawson and Kara. Would you please come up? Bill. And other legislators here beside me To you, Jan C. Scruggs, upon the visit to the Kent County Chapter 850 Vietnam Veterans of America Annual Vietnam Veterans Day Ceremony. Known as the founder of the wall, Mr. Scruggs enlisted in the U.S. Army and was deployed in Vietnam. During his tour, was wounded. Half of his unit was either wounded or killed. Later, having pride and a deep respect for his fellow officers, soldiers, and their bravery, he established the Vietnam Veteran Memorial Wall. If you haven't been there, please take the time. It is something that you will never, ever forget. Whether you served or not, it's a memorial to this country that's just unbelievable. Thanks again. The fund ultimately resulted in the creation of construction of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, known as the Wall, honoring the service and sacrifice of more than 58,000 soldiers that gave their lives defending our nation in Vietnam. The memorial was dedicated in '82 and is viewed by millions annually. I and others are pleased to pay tribute to a national hero. Upon his visit to the first state, and commend you for this work to honor those who sacrificed so much for our state and nation. With great gratitude and best wishes, sir, the Senate directs this tribute presented today. And God bless you. And welcome home. I guess we'll step out front. Get a picture? Let's step out front. Let's step out front.
And now a tribute from the other side. You know, I have breakfast just about every week with Dave Lawson, so. Now I gotta buy this time.
Just right under here, please. And there's a holder under there for you.
So, Jim, I just want to really say thank you for coming to Delaware, and I really appreciate everything you have done for our country. And when I sat down with the speaker, we went through this, and we were just in awe at your dedication, the inspiration that you put forward, your leadership, and the way you didn't quit. And to even imagine at the age you really started moving this forward, at the age of 29, that's just amazing to me, and to everyone that I've talked to about this. So we really want to thank you for everything you've done. Representative Carson, who is a big supporter in the House, wanted me to personally relay to him how much he appreciates everything you have done. And you've set a legacy which is just amazing to this country. And for everyone who's a veteran in this room, and for future generations, you just laid a foundation that we truly all appreciate and will change the lives of many people. So thank you. And from the House of Representatives, be it hereby known to all, the House of Representatives acknowledges Jan Scruggs. The House of Representatives extends its sincere appreciation and directs its tribute be issued the 25th day of March 2023, signed by the Speaker Pete Schwarzkopf, Representative Carson, and all the other members of the House of Representatives. We truly appreciate it, and thank you. Really thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bill, you want out front? Sure.
Photo op. As my daughter, she knows the understanding of photo op.
Okay, make sure he doesn't leave without those, please. Both tributes in a carrier underneath there for him. Brother, I thank you again.
Yeah.
And God bless you.
It's really a great time in my life. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
We're serious when we invite somebody to Dover. Like now, there's a tribute from the county as well. County Commissioner Alan Angel.
I haven't met a lot of angels.
Are you, sir?
You're an angel, sir.
If I could have Joanne Masson come forward, please. Commissioner Masson, be with me. If there's any other commissioner that showed up, please come forward. Okay. Kent County Levy Court Tribute, Jan Scruggs. We are honored to have you here today, March 25th, 2023. Jan Scruggs, a Vietnam veteran who has made a lasting impact on our lives. His Vietnam experiences set the tone for his vision, tenacity to build the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall, built on the grounds of the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and dedicated on Veterans Day, 1982. The wall inscribes the names of 58,279, including 123 Delawareans who made the ultimate sacrifice during the Vietnam War. Since completion of the Vietnam Memorial Wall in 1985, he wrote, "To Heal a Nation, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial." His story has made it a NBC movie of the week in May of 1988. In 1992, he authored The Wall That Heals. In 1996, he wrote, "Why Vietnam Still Matters." In 2015, Jan Scruggs retired from the organization he founded in 1979 and the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Foundation, an advocate of the post-9/11 memorial, and the advisor to the Global War on Terror Memorial Foundation. Jan Scruggs has held true to his vow he made in May 28, 1969, while deep in the jungle of Vietnam. In his prayer, he vowed to do something. Philosopher George Santayana wrote, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." On behalf of the citizens of Kent County, we say thank you for your vision of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall, the inspiration of the Kent County Veterans Memorial Park in Dover, Delaware. And it's signed by all commissioners, Mr. Scruggs. And we really appreciate it. Come around front. Go around front.
Thank you for your service.
Photos are important because they record history, and they certainly do remind people that history will repeat itself unless we learn from it. And certainly, I want to thank particularly the Gold Star families that are here, the Gold Star representatives that are here today. There won't be any placement of the wreaths for obvious reasons, and so we'll move on from there. But I do want to thank you so very much for coming here. And this is truly a historic time because it was just the end of last year that it was the 40th anniversary of the Wall That Heals. And earlier this year, it was the 50th anniversary of the Paris Peace Accords. That had to be one hell of a relief to a lot of people, knowing that they were not going to be drafted to Vietnam. But so they were two significant things, and having you here is extremely important, extremely significant. Now I would like to, one of the things about coming up to a podium, you have all these papers and everything like that, and I've had people walk out with my remarks, but anyway, that's part of the game here. But I'd like now to invite the widow, Gail Postles, to come up front, because we wanted to, sure, whoever you would like to be here. She is a person who's been involved with our chapter. Her husband is involved with the chapter, and I think that we certainly, he was so involved with so many things. So we are going to actually now read the names on the if you would like to sit, you can. But thank you so very, very much. I asked her for the picture, and Woody was always the bell ringer because he was always aware. He was one of the 1-9 Marines. They called him the Walking Dead. He'd been through a lot. He understood what it was, what death was, what injury was, and I think that's why we valued him so much. He was always involved with other people. So Woody always rang the bell. That bell right there now is a new one, and it's got Woody's name on the front, so it'll be there. It'll be there forever. And somebody's getting emotional up there. You know, I'll tell you what, though, it's easy when we start talking about these things for veterans to become emotional. We've all done it. We think back and something triggers you and you go, oh my God, I don't believe I did that. We've all been there and done that. What we're going to do is to have the first ring is for Woody. Please ring the bell for Woody, and if you would like to Gail, if you would like to ring the bell as I read the names, you're able, if you want to do that, you can. You're going to let him do it? Okay, very good. So this is the point where we read the names and toll the bell. The first name is Robert Paul Aker, Donald Ray Bailey, Paul Lloyd Berry, Bruce Edward Clow, Toby Ernst Collins, George Herman Coppage III, George Warren Cripps, Clifton Cubbage, Bruce Edward Dolbow, Robert Hughes Donaway. And I'm going to get my glasses right here now because they turned the lights down here and they were here a minute ago. Anyway, can we turn the lights up a little bit if you would, please? We'll give it a shot here. She comes in handy a lot. My daughter does. All right. Robert Hughes Donaway, Harold William Haddock, Jan Victor Hendrickson, Lawrence Edward Hitchens, Donald Russell Hoskins, Wayne Clifford Jester, James Harold Johnson Jr., Donald E. Kenton, Graham Norris Loudon Jr., William Lewis Lohman, John Murray Martin, Paul Oswald Meader, Wendell Mark Minier, Abraham Lincoln Moore, William Lee Nellens, Alexander J. Palinskar, Larry Fletcher Potts, Nolan Reed Ray, Edwin Harold Swanson. They were from Vietnam, now Kent County servicemen who died in Korea. Jerry C. Bleen, Mark L. Brittingham, Clifton Elmer Brooks, William J. Clark, Kenneth Flamer, John M. Godwin, Richard Hitchinson, Timothy E. Kimball, Howard J. Morgan, Henry S. Morton, James Philip Purnell, Kent County serviceman who died in the Middle East, Richard C. Clifton, Travis L. Griffin, Sean W. Mullen, Jarrett B. Thompson, and Carl J. Ware, Jr. I'd like to ask now for our Reverend to come up and give the benediction. Yes. Okay, you're right. I'll do it after this.
Stand if you can, please. I'm going to take a moment of special privilege. On behalf of my three cousins, I became a minister. I got out of the service in 1973, and 1 month later I entered the ministry of my first church. I always said, now that I've already experienced hell, I want to spend the rest of my life experiencing heaven. I know you, because you appear on the ballot that I push every couple of years. Let us pray. Almighty and gracious God, it's been a real honor and a privilege to meet someone who cares so much about those who served in Vietnam and had so much respect for those who gave their full life for freedom. We cannot begin to express the gratitude we all have for people such as Jan. But we can, Lord, honestly say that because of their dedication, many of us who served in that war can hold our heads a little higher, because we know in Washington, D.C., there's a place that honored our service. We give you glory and honor, O Lord, ask you to give us safe travels home and help us in our everyday lives, now and forevermore. Amen.
I'd like now to make a quick presentation that I omitted. We will very quickly. Gail, please come up. This will be short. I asked, yeah, got a lot of papers. I asked for that photo so I could cut it down and do something, make a plaque for you. There's always plaques that you get. A lot of these things you hang on the wall, and that's you ever see of them. But this is a new approach. There's actually a picture with it and something that you can take home. You and Woody. This was taken during a cruise, and a lot of us, we don't get dressed up a lot. A lot of veterans, and so it was so good to find Woody dressed to the nines. What's his medal? Okay.
For the belly competition, belly flop competition.
Belly flop competition. I don't know if that needs to be an official record, but that's okay. So thank you very much. We want to present this to you, and I have the original photos in there for you to take home as well. And thank you very much. Now, before...
Roses.
You're the one going to do the rose. Go ahead. Yes.
We, chapter 850. Huh? Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys. Chapter 850 would like to give a dozen roses to Gail from us, from our heart. And God bless you. And Woody, we love Woody from heaven and earth, girl. And we just like to give this to you. And God bless you. They really smell good, too. Okay, go ahead, Dave. I don't want to get in your way.
Of course, we always close with taps, and then followed by a rifle salute. Obviously, we couldn't have a rifle salute in here, but we did record something. And also our bagpipers. But before that, my closing note is that immediately following this ceremony, there will be a presentation of a service dog to a disabled veteran. You've already gotten a sheet about with the chapter program presenting highly trained service dogs to Delaware's disabled veterans from all conflicts. Today's presentation will mark the 14th presentation of a service dog. They take about a year to train, cost about $12,000. So we have a wonderful outreach program for service dogs. This is a special event because this dog's name is Saber, in recognition of our late member, Brigadier General John Reynolds, who flew an F-86 Saber when he was shot down over North Vietnam in 1965 and held captive until the Paris Peace Accords in 1973. And we have John's wife here, so she was here. She's come in from Maryland to witness this. You're welcome to stay for this. If you have to leave, that's fine, but we wanted to make sure that our guests who have to leave early have the ability to be able to do so. With that, please stand for our, okay. That's the rifle salute. Now our bugler. Beautiful way to end this ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming today. Again, you're welcome to stay. I'm going to ask Ray Harris, who is the coordinator of our dog program, to come up and to introduce himself, and certainly Mrs. Reynolds. Thank you very much.
Make sure I got all my plaques.
Absolutely.
Got one more. Black City.
Thank you again so much for being here.
Yeah, well, it's been a pretty
Welcome home,
memorable
brother.
day for me. Nice people. Us too.
Are you ready? You ready?
Huh?
You ready?
Yeah.
Can I have your attention real quick, please? If you're going to stay for the dog ceremony, we ask that you please take your seats so we can get started. Okay. If-
They do. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please have a seat. We have another presentation, which is very important, the dog program. So please have a seat so we can get started. And you can go home, and we can go home too. Thank you.
That's right.
Good afternoon. This is Joe Starton. I'm Ray Harris, and we manage the service dog program, Canine Assisting Service Heroes, for Chapter 850. When we completed the memorial about 5 years ago and put the helicopter up, we said this is not the end of what we want to do, and we want to reach out to more veterans and help in any way we can. So that's how the program came into being. Joe and I went to a place some of you might remember, Cowboy Up, and happened to see a service dog there named Billy, who was in training with Rydell Canine and was going to an Army veteran. And that touched us so much, we reached out to Rebuilding Warriors and wanted to get a dog for a Delaware veteran. After about a year and a half, we finally got a dog to a Delaware veteran. A group of us got together and said, we can do a better job of this and make it more appropriate to the state of Delaware. And that's basically how Cash came into being. We have some really special people here today. I'm going to start out with our veterans and their canine partners. We have our first dog, Cash, is here with Elizabeth. And Cash was a 2022 Delaware Veterinary Medical Association hero dog. He was recognized last year for saving Elizabeth's life, basically. Then we have David White with Chief. Yep. And his son's with him. We have Luis with Nikki and his wife, Emmy. We have one of our own, a Vietnam veteran, Clyde Boyer, and he's got that real big dog, Kylo.
Hey, all right.
And then we have some other things we want to talk about. One of the things that always comes up is how we get our dogs and how do they get into the program. But we're going to talk a little bit about that because you're going to see the life cycle of a dog. We're going to start out with one that someone hasn't met yet, and that is our dog Dewey. Dewey is special to us because he's a rescue out of Ohio. He was in a puppy farm, came down here to Grassroots Rescue with 12 other dogs at just over 8 weeks old. So they were all in bad health shape, and Grassroots gave Dewey to us. Well, we have a special family here, and that's Mike and Allison McBlain and their daughter, and they have someone they want to bring up and show to you. You guys want to come on up? And, oh my God. And this is Dewey. Dewey has graduated from his first obedience class, and he'll be starting his canine service dog training here at the beginning of the summer. And what really makes this special is that today we have Mrs. Martha DeWeese and Cece Dugan here from the DeWeese Foundation, and they actually have made this dog possible to a Delaware veteran. So we'd like to honor you guys, and if you'd like to come up and meet him. It says do not pet, but we allow it. And like I said, he'll start his training sometime this late spring, early summer, and our plan is to present him to a Delaware veteran at our annual Christmas party. This will be the 6th year in a row that we'll present a Delaware veteran with a service dog, so we're very proud of that record. For Mrs. Dugan. That was my Dave Skosick imitation. Or was that Joe that scratched my microphone? You become very attached to these animals over the time. And it's really hard sometimes when you don't get to see them every day. So we're really glad to have Dewey here with us and make his public debut before Vietnam veterans. That's really special too. Thank you all for coming.
Made it.
Thank you.
Thank you, hon.
Now it's time to present our next service dog here, and that's Saber. Saber came to us by another name. And at this time, if Samantha Brown is here and her daughter, would you guys want to come up? We'd like to introduce you to Mrs. Reynolds, let you get to see Saber as a fully qualified service dog. He came to us by the name of Gus, and he was a donation from the Brown family. And it was a great donation. He hit all of our hearts really quick, very special. He'll be 2-year-old in May, and he's a black lab German Shepherd mix. So it's a very unique look on this dog, so we're very proud of him. And did you have a presentation?
Here he comes. Here he comes.
And now he's entering the room. Okay.
Yay, buddy!
Yes. Okay. As they're getting more introduced, I'll keep on talking. We were very touched by General Reynolds. If anyone had the opportunity to meet him, he's a very special individual. Most people don't realize that he spent from November 1965 to January 1973 as a POW in the Hanoi Hilton. He's one of the longest held POWs in American history. And we wanted to do something to honor him and have him remembered. And we had talked to Mrs. Reynolds and some of the family, and we came up with the name Saber. He flew F-100 Super Sabres, and we thought that Saber would be very appropriate. The other thing we've decided too, that there will always be a Saber in the program as long as we are running this program. So if anything should happen to our Saber here, we'll have another Saber in the group to honor General Reynolds forever. It's one of our things we wanted to do.
Well, you're doing good, buddy.
Now I'd like to bring up Tom and Dee Dee. You get to come up too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I know this guy, don't I?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tom. Tom started his Air Force career in security forces, and he became part of an elite group called Ravens. And if you don't know what they are, they provide security for the aircraft and the air crews around the world, especially when we go into third world countries. He accumulated about 1,800 hours as a Raven, and decided he liked it so much he became a loadmaster, which is a good choice. He get paid more money. He became a C-5 loadmaster, traveled around the world, was probably in every area we had a conflict from the time Desert Storm, Desert Shield, all the way up to his retirement. And one of the things he's most proud of, and we're proud of, is the fact that he was awarded the Air Medal during Desert Storm for his actions. So we're very proud of that. He decided he'd take a short break from service, and when he came back, he decided to go into a career field that wasn't hazardous, so he became a firefighter. What can you say? Yeah, and at this time, we'd like Mrs. Reynolds to come up, and we're going to formally hand over the keys to Saber. One of the traditions that we do is, as a dog graduates from the course, most of you have seen the Vietnam veterans that wear the bracelets, is the dog is presented with a Vietnam collar. And this is to represent his graduation. If you see one of our dogs that doesn't have it on, if you notice Dewey, he doesn't have his collar yet because he hasn't graduated. So at this time, if you'd like to put it on him. Yeah. Nelson will help you.
There you go.
Yeah.
A little click.
And then Tom, this is actually the official keys to the car. And actually, to tell you a little bit about these collars, these were made by a Vietnam veteran in Florida, along with the lead. So everything is done by veteran-owned and veteran-supported organizations. And we don't want to have Dee Dee go away without having something, so we'd like to present her with some roses and somebody also. Everything. And the other one goes. Yeah, it's just We always say that we become a family, and it's really true in more ways than one. Elizabeth Short, our first veteran to receive a service dog, decided on her own last year that she was going to do a fundraiser through 31. The ladies in the audience might know what it is. I'm blind to that. But she was able to raise enough money that she's got basically a starter kit for you for your dog. And you want to present that?
Yep.
Stay. Sit. Inside this package, you have a travel bed for Saber. You have a tote, and you have a poop bag, little container to carry your poop bag on the leash. And you also have a frog that squeaks, and you have a glow-in-the-dark, durable, dishwasher-safe toy that you can put treats in. So here you go. You are very welcome.
And Tom, the Brown family asked me to make sure you got this. Okay, a little bit about where we're going. We have 2 more dogs in training right now. We have, of course, Dewey's in foster care and a German Shepherd named Block. And we also have another dog named Kilo, and not my Kilo, but another dog named Kilo that we're going to test and try to get into the program. So if everything works out, we'll be presenting 3 more dogs this year. So we're very, very excited about that program. And it's the people in this audience that make it possible. Yes, we receive grant and aid from the state, and we can't thank them enough for it. They're a very big supporter of us, and we do have some foundation groups that support us very well. But one of the things that happens is we get donations from the people in the audience, the people in the community, because everyone loves puppies and everyone loves veterans. So, you want to say something, Joe? No. Yeah, go ahead and end up. I'm going to turn it over to Joe to end it.
No, I don't. I just want to say thank you for letting the cash program continue. Thank you for your support. Here's a wonderful lady here. Is in Washington. We met her, and we like I said, we wanted to do something for John. He was in there for 7 years. So, but I'm not going to ramble. You know me, I could really just keep right on talking for the rest of the day, but I know you don't want to hear me. But again, thank you so much for making this possible. You know, if it hadn't have been for you guys and gals, we wouldn't be up here. So, you know, yeah. Go ahead, girl. You wait till I get home. You ain't gonna be smiling. Yeah, say what I know what she said, Gail. That's okay, see? No, but anyway, thank you. God bless you. Have a safe travel home, and just God bless you.
Did we get everyone with the dog to come forward for the group picture?
And that's all I got to say.
Over the years, I swear to God, you're getting better during speeches. Good. You're better inside than you are outside.
Too much excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all ran.